Hi everybody, Christina here once again with your September reading this time, and if you're here in Oz, welcome to spring. Yay, it's my favourite time of the year. I love spring. And for my friends over on the other side of the world, welcome to your autumn. So today, as usual, I've chosen 3 cards. Now, I cheated just a little bit and I drew these cards before sitting here before you, because I was actually guided to use 2 separate decks and to use them together. So I thought it must be something pretty big, and I didn't want the video to go on forever. So without further ado, I'd like to say I hope you all got through August okay. I know it was a challenging time, both July and August actually, for a lot of us, and I really sincerely hope that you found your way and you honoured yourself, took time out for yourself when you needed it, and really loved yourself just beyond words, really. You know, made sure you really took good care of yourself, making sure I should say, that you were managing okay and checking in to see if you were reliving old patterns or whether you were finding new challenges and so forth. And for me personally, just a little tidbit about me. August was a particularly challenging month. I've had a few this year actually. Part of me is eagerly awaiting the arrival of 2017, but it was lesson time for me. So of course we had Mercury retrograde, I believe, happening now, and we had the Lion's Gate, and we had Saturn retrograde as well, I believe, or Saturn return. Can't remember now, but it was one or the other. Something to do with Saturn, throughout the month of August. So it was very much a case for me personally to really reassess the relationships in my life and find out who I wanted to keep in my life and who I didn't. So, and also of course releasing old behaviours and old patterning and conditions that just weren't suiting me any longer. So I hope you've all managed to come out of August relatively unscathed, and hopefully you did take that time out when you needed it. So for September, the 2 decks that I was basically told to use are 2 decks that I don't actually use very often. So the first one is Doreen Virtue, Melissa Virtue's Angel Dreams Oracle cards. I don't tend to use these very often, mostly because they don't fit in with me. So, to be brutally honest, I use them and I can read them, and they're very good at times, but they're not my go-to deck. As you will recall, my go-to deck is the Wisdom of Avalon cards. And the second oracle cards that I was told to use are the Angels of Atlantis. Now, again, another deck I don't frequently use, even though I'm very connected to the angels and the angelic realm. My path has changed somewhat since I purchased these, and just don't find I need them as often or choose to use them as often. So I thought it was particularly interesting that I was told to use these 2 decks. So we'll see what happens. So as usual, I've split the month up into 3 sections, but as usual, that may not definitively be beginning, mid and end. My kind of sense on this one this time round is that it is more a beginning, middle and end kind of scenario. However, there will be some overlap. So, without further ado, from the Angel Dreams Oracle card, the first card I chose for this month, I almost said August, is called the Waning Moon. Now, the Waning Moon, well, boy oh boy, what can we say about the waning moon? Traditionally, the waning moon is a time of release and let go. So many people in ancient times would honour the waning moon as a way to not only give thanks for what has been, but also to release what no longer serves them. So I found it rather interesting because the keywords for the waning moon card is introspection and self-reflection, which ties in well with what the waning moon is all about anyway, given that tonight is the new moon, and traditionally we don't really do much on the new moon. It's a time to sit quietly and just sit. So with the waning moon, it's about very much making sure that for the next, 10 to 15 days, just take some time to sit quietly somewhere and really look at how far you've come, because 2016 has been a very challenging year for a very many number of you, and myself included, and it's taking that moment to sit down, look at where you were this time 12 months ago, where you've gone over the last 12 months, how much you've grown, how much you've changed, what behaviours are no longer serving you that you can let go, or better still, even behaviours and so forth that you have already let go. So it's really about taking a moment to pat yourself on the back and say, you know what, God damn it, I did a good job. And and in retrospection, in taking inventory and stock of who you are, where you've been and how far you've come, it opens the avenues to being able to dream. So as we let go of stuff, whether that be people, relationships, jobs, behaviours, belief systems, pretty much anything that doesn't really serve you anymore, as we let go, we become more and more an empty vessel of sorts to allow the new energy to come through and fill us up once more. So I found that really quite interesting, because the Angel of Atlantis card that came out with the waning moon was Raziel. Now Raziel's all about dreaming. So Raziel asks you to pay attention to your dreams. Now, this is like a double-edged sword, okay? So we've got the dreams of sleep time, where quite often we will download information during our slumber, and we frequently may not remember them, or we might just get little bits and pieces. But we kind of know that, subconsciously at least, something's happened. We've either processed an emotion or an activity or a fear or a doubt or some other event in our life, or we're actually downloading new information. Both are pretty awesome if you ask me. And so with Raziel, it's about then the second side of it, of dreams, of course, is your outer dreams. So the dreams, the desires to go where you want to go. So for me, personally, to give you an example, my thing has been for quite a number of years to get my butt into teaching people what I know. And the human side of me has been absolutely terrified of doing that. And so 2016, I've tried. I've taught a few courses and a few workshops, and the fear is disappearing little by little. But I know you wouldn't tell, right? But I'm actually a very shy bunny. So basically, that's just one example. So another thing is I have dreams and aspirations of where I want to go. I've recently taken up classical singing training again, because I used to do amateur theatre when I was much younger. And it's a part of me that I realised that I miss. So my dream, external dream, one day is to be back up on stage and performing in front of people. Now I know that's contradictory to the shy little bunny that I mentioned before, but when I'm on stage I'm quite a different person. It allows me to escape. So for you, make sure you pay attention to your dreams, both the internal dreams, i.e. when you're slumbering, and try to keep a dream journal. Dream journals are fantastic, because even if you can only remember bits and pieces. It's almost as though you go into kind of an automatic writing process whereby you might go, oh, I remember there was an eagle and a river and maybe some rocks or something, and I was in a forest or something. And as you think about what you can recall, you'll find that your subconscious will chip in and go, oh, that's right, you were blowing up balloons in that forest. I don't know where you would be, but that's not my dream. So it's really about writing, documenting, finding what suits, where you're going, what you're doing, and really paying attention to the messages you're receiving around you. Now that leads us very beautifully into the mid of the month. Now, out of the Angel Dreams deck, 2 cards jumped out at me, which is quite interesting. So the first one is Mugwort. Now, in traditional times, in the, as some would call it, the old religion, or in pagan religions, Mugwort was a herb that was used for not only healing external wounds, but it was also used for dreaming, and it was used for self-protection and cleansing of the home and so forth. However, don't burn mugwort, it can be toxic, so it's not a good idea to burn it. But in this particular instance, mugwort also talks about a rite of passage. Now, the rite of passage could potentially be, again, the fact that you've come so far in the journey, particularly over the last 2 months, that you're almost entering this new phase of your life, which ties in very well with spring, surprisingly. So it's a great time to really do that, that reassessment of yourself. I find out and congratulate yourself where you've gone to. So you're finding your feet, you're finding your way, you're progressing into a new you, perhaps a more confident you, a good time to it's a good time to detox both your inner bodies, your outer bodies, your external environment, whatever it is, just keep that nice detoxing, cleansing process happening. But also to protect your energies in the sense of making sure that the toxic people that you have let go of, for example, don't snake their way back in. Particularly if you're an empath, which a lot of people are, and many do not actually realise that they are, but it's human nature almost to be empathic. And so what we do is we go through this cleansing detox process and we go, yep, out with you, don't need you anymore. And something will bring those people or situations back into your life. And it's really about making sure that if they do come back into your life, you look at it openly and go, well, maybe I need to learn something else from this person, or maybe I need to set really good boundaries. Now, boundaries is something a lot of people struggle with, because at the core of human essence, we tend to not want to hurt other people. We tend to want to be loved and appreciated and approved of. We're forever seeking approval at some level from somebody, whether it's our self-approval or or approval from other people. There's always an essence of us that seems to need approval from somewhere. And sometimes when these toxic people that we've let go can come back and do what I call the guilts, it's like, oh, if I'm really sorry, I won't do what I did to you again, can you please give me another chance? And they kind of lay the guilt on you, or they, I don't know, they just seem to find a way back in. So mugwort is really about making sure that you keep your energies protected, and if you have weeded the garden, keep the weeds out, okay? And that leads us to, because we actually had 2 cards pop out, you might have recalled my mentioning, and that was the orange, right? Self-explanatory? Not. So orange, wow. Orange is all about your chakras and your creativity and changes. So it ties in very well with your rite of passage in the sense that you have changed, you have progressed, you've moved forward, you've dropped what you don't need, you've brought in perhaps what you have needed or are needing. You're manifesting more and more of what you actually desire in this life, and that is kudos to you. Job well done. Pat yourself on the back for that one. So, and I love the colour, right? Obviously it's orange, but the colour is very very, very sacral chakra, which is just sitting below your navel, and it's where our creativity comes from. It's also where our sensitivities come from, and our sensuality, whether you're male or female. And it's so it's quite a good core chakra that needs to be nice and strong. So anytime you feel less creative, or you feel like you can't get the solution, maybe just check in with your chakra and just see if it's, how it's going. Is it bright? Is it dull? Is it full of muck? Do a cleanse on it. Whatever it is, just bring in the orange colour and watch your creativity flow. Now, the angel card that came with it, which was beautiful, is Hanael. Now, Hanael, I love Hanael. She's a beautiful energy. So Hanael is all about hope and wisdom. So, of course, if you've just gone through this massive change and you've just made the decision to really value who you are, and you're building your creativity, you're building on your dreams, you're feeling inspired to finally grab the bull by the horns and ride it, Hanael reminds you to keep the faith, keep hope, okay? So if you find yourself waning, if you find yourself with those toxic people coming in, anywhere where you might feel hopeless for whatever reason, it's a good idea to call on Hanael and bring in that hope again, because hope is what makes the world go round, as far as I'm concerned. Along with love and a few other things, but hope is really important because it gives us a very positive driving force, not a destructive driving force, and they're quite different. So around the mid of September, you're going to be high flying, you're going to be going for it, really. You'll find things will just start clicking and coming into place, and your dreams will start manifesting and your desires are coming to fruition. That leads us towards the end of the month. And we have the Lucid Dreaming card. I love lucid dreaming. Lucid dreaming is amazing. It's quite a good skill to have, actually. It essentially means you can dream when you're awake. I'm not talking daydreaming. So when you're in a dream state, if you're lucid dreaming, you can actually control the outcome of that dream, and it's pretty trippy the first few times that you do it. But it's great because if you're particularly having a nightmare or something, if you can lucid dream, you can change the outcome. But in this case, lucid dreaming is more about having an awareness of opportunities. So you've got this creative burst happening in the mid of the month or thereabouts, and so now it's like, okay, I'm opening the doors to get these fabulous opportunities coming through. So whether that be an opportunity for you personally, like if there's a driving force for you, like if you've got your own business, or you want a different job, or you want to manifest a partner, or whatever it is, know that the opportunities will present towards the end of the month, which is fantastic. And spring, in Oz anyway, spring is notoriously known as the month of love. So, sorry, I amuse myself sometimes. So it's really about being aware of the opportunities. Now, we're all conscious people. We're all, most of us are awake. We're all awake. We're all awake at some level, and it's about keeping our eyes open. Sometimes as humans we get very focused. It's like, I want to be there, and that's the point I want to get to. And when we go through life with those shutters on, we really don't see other opportunities. So other doors could be opening, and you just won't see them because you're so focused on the end goal. Now, if you recall, August was about keeping the eye on the prize, and this is still the same, but it's being open to many prizes, because you may not know how to get where you're going, but there might be 3 or 4 steps that you can take to get where you're going, and they're all going to be opportunities for you to learn and to grow. So it's about being aware of situations, being aware of people, being aware of opportunities, just keeping your eyes and your ears and everything else open so that you can see the greater scope, because frequently the gifts we are given are not given to us clearly labelled, if you know what I mean. And so the angel that comes with that, and I found this one particularly interesting, and I'll say that because I actually put her back in the deck when she fell out, because I went, oh, that's just bad shuffling. And I thought to myself, if you come out again, I'm going to put you up there. And guess what? She came out again. So it is Je Fiel, and she's about forgiveness. Now again, you can see we've got this beautiful orange here, which is the sacral chakra. Now, because you may have recalled I mentioned that the sacral chakra is about your sensuality. Now, if you're in an intimate relationship, your sacral chakra is automatically activated, okay? It comes with the process of being intimate. So when Je Fiel came out, I kind of had to ask why. Apart from the obvious that it's about forgiveness. But for me, because I was quite drawn to the orange orb above her head, it was more about forgiving those that you love, including yourself. I do hope you love yourself. It's very important to love yourself. Okay, so when you forgive someone, it's not condoning a bad behaviour. It's not making it okay. What it's actually doing is it's allowing you to heal to such a point that you're no longer reactive to that bad behaviour. Okay, so it's really kept. A lot of people think when you forgive someone that it's an automatic cancellation of what they did. It's not. It has absolutely nothing to do with that. Forgiveness is the key to your own sanity. Okay, because when you are in unforgiveness, it can quite easily turn into vengeful thoughts, or I don't know how to describe, like just destructive thoughts really, and destructive actions. And before you know it, that toxic person actually still has control over you because you haven't forgiven them. And it's, again, be clear, I'm not condoning the bad behaviour, and neither should you. Okay, it's really important that you understand that. It's not about accepting bad behaviour. It's more about releasing the reactivity that you experience when you are approached or when you see a particular behaviour. I.e., that means you're not getting sucked in to that behaviour, and therefore that person has no control whatsoever over you. And that is really key to your own personal growth and development, and of course your own mental sanity. Holding on to grudges, not forgiving people, is actually very toxic to the human body. Just like, anger is great, for example, as long as it's within reasonable limits, because anger can shift us, anger can kick us fair and square up the butt to get us into gear. But when anger is overkill, when it's over-destructive, when it's too intense, when it's been there for too long, it actually is very, very destructive. Very destructive. And quite often angry people will break bones to release that anger, because your body will store anger in your bones. So forgiveness is actually very, very, very important. And in particular, I'm getting told for you yourself, okay? What you did when you were that other person is not who you are necessarily right now. Pardon me, you may not have done, a very good job. You may sit there now and go, oh my God, I didn't behave, or I didn't handle that situation well. But you need to understand that who you were then is different to who you are now. And hindsight is wonderful, but hindsight doesn't really cure anything. Hindsight allows you to acknowledge what you did or what you didn't do, and allows you to reset your programming so that you don't do it again, or that you do it if you didn't do it first time around, if that makes sense. So forgiveness is one of those little tricky things. It isn't accepting the other person's bad behaviour. It isn't accepting bad situations. It's about not allowing that situation, that person, or that incident to control how you feel and how you react. So it's like not allowing that toxicity back into your life. I hope that makes sense. If not, you can always ask me questions anyway. Post them below the video, and I will do my very best to endeavour, to answer them in an efficient way. Sorry, I wasn't quite sure what the word was there. So basically, for September, because it's such a lovely month, and it will be a lovely month. You've potentially been through hell and back, and you survived 100% of your bad days so far. So you're doing alright, okay? But really, really concentrate on being very loving and kind to yourself, and follow your dreams and follow your heart and trust who you are. So until next time, that's it for me, and I will see you later. And oh, by the way, happy spring!